Every morning, millions of Americans walk through an office lobby to an elevator where they spend anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute standing still. It's one of the few times during the day where office employees are truly a captive audience. My next guest's company has learned how to maximize their impact with that audience by putting 10,000 screens, we're talking video screens that are streaming content into elevators across the country. Scott Marden, Captivate CMO, is a seasoned marketing, strategy, and media executive since joining Captivate in 2009. Marden has helped the company develop its leadership position as a digital video media network with data-driven targeting and thought leadership. He joins us today to discuss the company's recent growth. Join me in welcome to All Business with Jeffrey Hazlett, Scott Marden.
He's one of the world's most respected business experts, Jeffrey Hazlett.
I want to take you behind the scenes on what's happening in business today. And whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, we're going to find out the secrets behind their success.
This is All Business with Jeffrey Hazlett, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts.
Hey, first question I got to ask you, what led you to the CMO of Captivate? I mean, you came from kind of the print world as I look at.
I did. Back in 2009, it was the bottom of the stock market. The print industry was really slowing down.
Let's hope it's the bottom of the stock market forever.
Yeah, in fact, March was the very bottom.
Yeah.
March 9th, I started at Captivate because it was a fast-growing industry. There was no other media except for digital that was growing at double-digit growth, except for digital play-based, and that's where I decided to go.
Yeah. Well, I want to get in and talk about the business model, but I want to. So you came from Veritas, right?
Yeah, Veritas Communications.
Oh, I remember the company. I was in the printing industry for years. So
$2 billion print company,
yeah.
Advertising circulars, direct mail, big pre-media company with all the billboards in Manhattan. Awesome company. I learned a lot. Spent 12 years there running research, and time to leave was 2009.
Yeah. Were you doing a lot of other marketing stuff?
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of events. We did a lot of shows. And what we did most was around creative services, actually. We saw a nice trend where people were looking for companies not just to print their material, but to actually do the creative. So I ran a department called the Data-Driven Design Department, and we used information, data, third-party data to segment audiences and design their creative based on those different segments. So I did a lot in the casino world. You look at slot players. There's slot players that are the old blue-haired, sitting by the slots playing. Yeah. And then you got people that are going there for the pools and the lifestyle. Well, I would segment those audiences.
By the way, which one are you? I'm just joking. Well, you can't see it. This is a podcast, but he's a good-looking guy. So it's like
I'm the guy that sits by the pool but also plays the blackjack. Anyway, so I'd help them segment their audiences and then design their direct communications based on those personalities. Really, it was a European technique that came over to the States, a company called Euroscan, which is the Research Institute on Social Change, and takes people's socio-cultural beliefs and traits and attitudes and tells you what kind of communications they're going to respond to. So we did that, and then we also did the customer-focused research program, which helped all the big retailers, Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, segment their audiences and understand how they're going to make buying decisions at the store. So big retail company, great creative company, and then putting print in front of consumers is what we specialized in.
Yeah, print still works. I mean, print's still very effective and most trusted communication there is. But you have to specialize. It has to be version customized and and personalized in ways that you've never had to do before.
Yeah, they're still doing it today. Quad Graphics acquired Veritas Communications, and they're still.
Did they? I didn't know that. But Quad's huge. Quad's they got to be the biggest in the world now, right?
They are. Them and Quebecor up in Canada.
Yeah. And Synveo. Yeah. Synveo is where I came. I was at Synveo years ago.
Yeah, I remember them.
And helped those guys grow. And then they were bought out. And I don't know I can't even remember what year it was. It was about 2005, probably 4 or 5. And yeah, about 2004. They were taken over, hostile takeover as part of the deal, and then that's where I went on to Kodak. But so, how are you liking the CMO gig?
I love it. One of the things we do in my department is make a lot of mistakes because we're breaking a lot of eggs and trying new things. And we found the most important aspect of our business is being innovative, coming up with new products, new ideas for customers, and you can't do that without making some mistakes. And my company and my division, the marketing division, is really going gangbusters, just helping the salespeople make revenue, helping the real estate team build our distribution, and really helping the company find its way.
So, I mentioned in the intro about 10,000 screens. I'm sure that's probably outdated, but But you're putting these in every single elevator. I know in my building, when I get in the morning, it's the first thing I look at, and it's got some news and it's got a little ad with it or two. But it's always got something that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Captivate's the leading digital video network out there, really driving great content, entertaining content, informational content to the hardest reach audience you can find out there. These are upscale professionals working in their office buildings. We have screens in the elevators. We have
I don't know if
screens.
they're all upscale.
Well,
I mean, I know some of the people in my building, they're not upscale, but that's okay.
we say from the mailroom to the boardroom. And,
Okay.
You got people in the mailroom, sure, but a lot of them are white-collar professionals. We do also do it on the lobby screen. So if you look at the lobby of a building, you have large format screens there. We're putting great content from Wall Street Journal, from USA Today, from Forbes, all business content, good weather and sports content, and then even some lifestyle content that the viewers love. So we do a good job there, and we're trying to get inside every building we can that's a Class A office tower, and then we also have some hotels and some condos. A really fast-growing company. It's up to now 12,000 screens. We're in about 1,800 buildings across North America, by far the largest, and really the only player in the States when we purchased the Wall Street Journal office network a couple of years back.
Well, I remember that as well. And my background, I should probably public disclose that I'm on the board for RMG, which is also a little bit of a competitor, but not necessarily a competitor, I would say.
Yeah, RMG went into the office space. They went into the office tenant suites.
They used to do clubs or health clubs for a long time. They sold that off, but they're primarily a visual communications provider for companies, more on the purchasing space than anything, or supply side.
We're all part of the same family within the digital place-based industry, and it's an industry that's over $2 billion. It's growing at double digits.
So you call this? I mean, this is what I would call out of home. It's still out of home. I mean, that's what you'd call it traditionally.
You would. There's two things that separate our industry from out of home, the traditional out of home. One is dwell times.
Let me also explain to people listening, because they might not know. We're down into the depths of marketing. But out of home means any signage, anything that's out of your home. That's not a TV, not a radio, not a screen. Traditionally, so a screen that you would see or holding in your hand.
Yep. People think of out of home as posters and billboards,
cabs, taxis, buses, right?
Things on top of cabs, things now inside of cabs. Our little niche inside the out of home industry is called the place-based advertising industry, and that means two things. One is there's dwell time. That means people have to stop for a reason and watch. So inside of a health club, people are standing still, except they're moving in front of a screen.
Are you doing health clubs now?
No, we don't. But in the industry.
That's
considered one of them. Certainly, the office building, people they're there 10 hours a day. The movie theater is considered place-based advertising. Inside the taxi cab, watching TV, the TV screens there. So where you have dwell time is one, and then the second thing that qualifies as the place-based industry is when you have content. So you can't just have ads rotating over and over again. You need stories. So something that is giving information more than just ads. And
why do you need to do that? I mean, I was getting one of the questions I had is: are you a content play or an ad play? I mean, you're a little both, right?
Yeah, but the content drives the ads, and that's what we think separates us from traditional out of home is the viewers lean in to our screens. They're leaning forward, looking for the next tidbit of information, breaking news, favorite sports team scores, and we provide that with the ad right next to it. And that means they have 15 seconds to read a quick story, and then their eye gravitates towards the advertising, and we have some of the best engagement out of all the media out there.
I once saw, in fact, I don't know if you're still doing this with your social media, but I remember texting something to Captivate or tweeting it. And I know my name, and I saw Fran Tarkenton, who's a buddy of mine. You guys I was in an elevator, and there's my name popping up on like hello, whatever I said that day or whatever it was.
I remember it. I bet you heard from people you know.
No, I did. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we put something in the elevator, let's say in the morning, a celebrity, even just a regular person. If we recognize that person, typically they're going to hear from friends across the country in New York, Chicago, L.A. Hey, I saw you in my elevator. What were you doing inside my elevator?
It's kind of creepy. It's not creepy. It's exciting. It's exciting because you're there where the people are. Right?
That's right. And they're there 5 or 6 times a day inside the elevator. They're in there about 6 minutes a day inside the elevator. And if you look at that 6 minutes per day in front of the screens, that's more than they spend on their favorite website like ESPN. And that's more times where advertisers can get in front of them and make an effective frequency play.
It's a whole different deal to an elevator pitch, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it sure is. You got 15 seconds in your campaign to make a statement to to a consumer. You're going to do it right hopefully with some relevant media, relevant content.
You said 15 seconds. See, I always say it's like 8 seconds, right? I mean, 8 seconds to kind of hook somebody. But is that what the spot is 15 seconds?
Yeah, spot's typically 15 seconds. Some advertisers choose to go 30, and in both cases, you want to really engage the
30's
consumer.
Long. 30's long for that kind of thing. I mean, I move. You're in an elevator. It's already an awkward place, right?
Yeah, one thing that in fact, there's research out there. It's called proxemics research, and that's the study of people and their surroundings. And when you're confronted by others in a confined space, 90% of people will just stare straight ahead on a fixed location on the wall, and typically that's our screens if we're installed inside of an elevator. People just don't like that awkward feeling inside the elevator, and they're dying to have something to do, and in this case, it's watching our screens, and only about 5% will check their cell phones because of the poor reception inside the elevator. We got them for a good minute during that elevator ride.
Yeah, which I want to get right back to it, but I got to take a quick break. And this morning before I come here, I stopped at my local Dunkin'. I tried out some of the delicious flavors. They got some new ones now. They got this almond joy and heath flavors. Now I like the almond joy. I don't like the heath. My almond joy. My dad used to like almond joy, and because he liked it, I started liking them, and now I still like it. So I tried that this morning. It's kind of different, kind of weird, but whether you enjoy America's favorite coffee, piping hot or refreshing iced, especially in the summertime, you can mix and match with several flavors to make it just right. And they also got these sweetened flavors like mocha and caramel swirl. I don't know what foo-foo that is, but a lot of people like that, so whatever. Several unsweetened flavors, blueberry, caramel. I love mine. I like espresso. I usually get a quad espresso to start off the morning with, and none of that decaf. But they got decaf for those of you who can't take it. So it's freshly brewed and prepared, and because America runs on Dunkin'.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it. Taking you behind the scenes of what's happening in the business world, Jeffrey Hazlett hosts All Business, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts.
I want to get back to this awkwardness because I noticed this morning, because I knew you were coming on, when I got in the elevator, and I was there early, in New York time, getting there at 8 is pretty early, and I got on with this woman, a very small, petite woman. I'm a pretty big guy, 6'3", 200 some odd pounds, and the first thing, when you get on, it's kind of like, ooh, and I'm a little bit intimidating, and right away, both of us looked up at the screen, the Captivate screen, and we watched it until I got off on the 10th floor, and I know she punched 16. So I thought that was kind of my test to see what she would do and what was going on.
Yeah, that happens, all the time. Right now, 95% of the people that get in the elevator will look for those screens, and if the screens are there, they're going to watch the entire elevator ride. There's only about 10% that actually will not watch the entire elevator ride. So we have them engrossed for that time, and it's a great way to convince them to do something. A good example of this would be our recent contest we did, which was a selfie contest, an elevator selfie contest. Yeah. Take a picture of yourself in the elevator, send it to Captivate, and we'll give you, a $50 gift card or whatever the prize was at the time. We got thousands and thousands of submissions.
Oh, that's cool.
And these are professionals. It's not all kids and Gen Y and Gen Xers. I mean, these are executives and all sorts of people sending us their picture.
But if you got other people, it's kind of weird, though, isn't it? I mean, it is kind of different. I mean, the other day I had to lock down the elevators for I was filming for our TV show, and we're actually pitching a thing about the elevator pitch. So we were like, you filming in an elevator, and and we had to use some people in the elevator. And we just grabbed people and asked if they would do it. And it was just really kind of weird filming them because they didn't know what to do. So it's tough.
At one time we did what's considered a smart targeted ad inside the elevator, where we took someone in that building and put their picture up on the screen and saw if we can get a reaction from their coworkers, get a reaction from their friends.
Trying to sell them?
Well, yeah, without their permission. So
how'd that go?
Well, so we did it at 9 a.m. in the morning, and by noon we had a lawyer show up at our doors with a cease and desist letter. People do not like their pictures on the screens unless you get their agreement first.
I say this because I once went to a hotel, and they wanted me to go, and they offered up, like a couple of nights if I would go, and because we were looking at doing it as a fam trip for one of our events. and I happened to be in town. They knew I was coming. It was a luxury hotel, so I went there. And when I checked into the room, they had pictures of me and my wife and my family in frames in the room. Okay, same kind of thing. Now, I thought, well, okay, that's pretty personalized, right? That they went to Facebook, pulled those off. But imagine, I mean, I just thought, because I know some guys who aren't as nice as I am, and I had my wife with me. Imagine if you didn't bring your wife and there was somebody, all that stuff started, and all the scenarios that could go through your head, that along those lines. But I'm not surprised by that.
So you and I come from the same industry, which is around personalized, direct communications, and the trend is going that way, where it's almost like the Minority Report. You want to give relevant information to the audience that's in front of your screen, but you can't do it in too much of a personalized way that infringes on their privacy.
Yeah. Same thing if you're trying to sell me a pickup truck, but you show me the pickup truck in New York City, but yet I have a ranch in South Dakota. That's where I'm not driving my freaking pickup truck in New York, right? Same thing.
Yeah, that's my background. I collect information on people and try to understand who they are. So in our buildings, we look at every single company in that building, as many of the executives and job titles and company types and revenue, and we don't look at people's salaries, but we do look at how many employees are in those companies, and we help advertisers get in front of those right companies.
So how do you target like that? Because I'm going to, again, another question I want to follow up, but how are you targeting that particular building? Are you looking at the makeup of the people in the building? You have a database of that?
We do. We have one of the country's largest databases. Actually, we have it in North America. We use a B2B list provider called Info USA and Info Canada.
Out of Omaha. The guys were originally out of Omaha.
We match every set of data that they have.
Didn't Donnelly buy them? I thought they were owned by Donnelly at one time.
Not quite sure. They're called Info Group, and what we look at is, let's say a building like the one we're in today, we'll look at the number of companies in here and how many are media-related companies, or it could be how many departments or divisions are media-related divisions. If this building over-indexes or has a higher propensity than other buildings to have media executives here, we're going to target this building for an advertiser that's trying to target media companies.
Do you slot it by times? Do you have blocks then, and blocks where I can buy certain blocks of advertising, or am I just buying impressions throughout the day rotating?
Very, very targeted.
Or both.
So you mentioned the person in New York that arrives at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. That's typically a C-suite. Mm-hmm. So we'll sell that 7, 8 a.m. time frame to them.
Got a higher rate?
In some cases, it's a higher rate. I mean, you talked about beverage companies like Dunkin' Donuts. Mm-hmm. They'll target the snack period, which is the 2 or 3 o'clock afternoon snack time, where people are exiting these offices.
It's packed. But if you don't know anything about New York, I mean, you try to get an elevator at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's crazy.
If you're targeting agency executives, they're working until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, so we'll sell that time period. Mm-hmm. And very, very smart targeting by a lot of our customers. Yeah,
but nothing in the morning for agencies, because those guys don't get up in the morning. They never go. They all their meetings in the afternoon. How about geofencing? Are you doing anything with? I would think your business is ripe for geofencing.
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago, we decided that the most practical thing to do for us was to partner up with mobile. We know that people, although their phones don't work inside the elevator, as soon as they get outside the elevator, that mobile connection's there. So we partnered with a company that helps us target around the buildings. It's a geofence, and in addition to seeing the message on our screens, they then see the message on their phones and their smartphone screens. So that's something we've been doing now for a couple of years.
Nobody's done a good job at that so far. So
I'd say we are.
But I didn't know that you were doing that. So I'm asking a blind question. I didn't go looking up. I didn't spend the time to do the research probably like I should have. But it's innocuous. That was one of those volleyball questions. I just set it up and you spiked it down. That was well done, Scott. Well done.
We do about 50 programs a year.
You go to the Olympics. You should be in the Olympics.
We do about 50 programs a year. The company that I'm working with right now is XAD. So everything our mobile network's powered by XAD, and they do a great job with our locations, and they match every single device that they can find in our buildings to send them an ad for the clients that want to.
Talk to me about how that works. Because I just think this is it. I mean, this is like one of them, and I like being where the people are. Right. That's why I'm doing podcasts, because people are listening. So, gosh darn it, what the heck? You got to be where the people are.
They have technology and algorithms called footprints and blueprints, which specializes at finding people and their signals turned on inside of our building. So,
and they basically draw a line around the architecture of the building or the block, and you start. Do you do the whole block, or do you whatever they want?
So we do both. So for our B2B customers, so someone targeting media executives or financial advisors, we'll stay just inside that building, so the building actually looks like the shape of a building. But for consumer messaging, like a Dunkin', we'll target a geofenced area around the building. So that means we're getting people inside and also right outside the building.
Because then they're wandering into the area.
That's right, and probably going down the street to their closest Dunkin'.
How do people? What's the typical engagement that somebody has?
Well,
you got some big companies. I see big companies like Oppenheimer and some similar ones that advertise on my networks as well, both my TV shows and C-Suite TV.
Yeah, so the engagement is pretty simple. So we reach someone on average once a day, maybe once every other day, with that individual client's campaign. So we'll reach, the typical person will see 30 or 40 ads a day, but they'll see that one campaign once a day. And over time, I would say around the 10th to the 12th day, that ad's going to start to make an impression. They're going to want to respond. And typically the way they respond is they go back to their desk and they look up that company online. They'll do a Google search. They'll go to the company's website. And now we're looking to help them convert those searchers into customers. So we recommend being on air at least 4 weeks, and that's when clients will change up their creative to make sure no ad fatigue sets in. And that's when they'll start to see those responses come in. Now, in today's age, people want to see proof of response, so we're measuring that online activity for customers.
So but I was going to say, how are you able to prove them?
So my position, not only at Captivate but also with the DPAA, which is the Digital Place-Based Advertising Association, is to know a lot about metrics and research. I head up the Research and Standards Committee. I sit on the chair there, and I know that this is the number one issue facing our industry. So we partnered with a company that actually locates in our buildings all the companies that are in there, and they match their IP addresses so they can see their web activity. Now it's not.
I'm like, holy shit! Sorry, but man, that's wicked.
Yep. So
I listen, people that are listening to this. This is freaking wicked. Okay, this is stalking at the time in a nice way. Okay,
it's not.
I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know. It's Amy or it's Patrick. I don't know. I just know. I know. Okay, there's somebody sitting in there. I know.
So we look at it by company. So by company, how many employees are going to my clients' websites based on that campaign, and we keep it fixed to our buildings. And we want to know if there's an ad in our building.
God, I thought I was doing great with a postcard mailing.
Well, marketers demand ROI, and this is how we get to ROI.
Oh yeah, I sit in those conversations every day. I'm selling ads on the podcast. I'm selling ads on TV. I'm selling ads on my C-Suite network all the time, and everybody wants to know, how many clicks am I going to get? How much am I going to get?
We did a campaign for the Tourism of Australia, which is a big tourism board out of Australia, obviously, and before their campaign, we measured the clicks to their website from our buildings. During the campaign, we saw 173% lift in clicks to their website that we can attribute to our network.
And you could track them back to the IP address.
Absolutely. And so now they want to know, well, who are these companies that were going to my website? We have that information.
But I tell you what, I got to take another break. Speaking of cost, let me do that, and I'm going to come back to that because I'm curious about the accountability to the cost, and does that make it add so much more? Anyway, let me get 2 seconds. Let me break out here because I got Liberty Tax. I love these folks. I spoke at their convention here recently. I get so many Liberty Tax franchises that I'm staying in touch with. They're just friends. But, good folks over at Liberty Tax are on board here at All Business. It's the fastest growing retail tax preparation firm. 4,000 offices in North America. They do a lot of consumer business, but they're doing a lot of business too. So, and by the way, if you're looking for some kind of opportunity for yourself, it's a great franchise opportunity on a seasonal basis. So if you're looking to get into business, add another service to your business, or just need great tax prep services, hey, look to Liberty. You'll find them waving on the street. A lot of times they got those waivers. So let me ask you, speaking of accountability, right there's taxes, but does it become so cost prohibitive to start tracking all this stuff to find out if it's effective? It's just easier just to run the campaigns. I mean, look, if you run a TV ad, people are going to see it. If you, by and large, radio, same thing. I would think, look, if I'm in an elevator and I'm representing B2B customers, there's a lot of businesses inside there. Aren't you going to hit them? I mean, do you have to be that exact?
That's a great question. I often ask myself and others those questions. So clients that come back over and over and over again with us do so because they hear it on the street. They hear it from their peers in the industry. They hear from
see it.
Yeah, they see it.
They see it.
Their competitors see it.
Yeah, but I mean, look, you're almost in you're in some really good building. You're almost in every building I've been in. I won't say all because you're still working on it, but it's pretty damn good.
It is, but everyone's marketing budgets are shrinking, and they're asking for proof of play, proof of performance, and Captivate has to be on the leading edge to show them those results. And the good news is the data's out there. Because our gravitation towards digital and integration with digital, we can get digital data and match it back to our buildings pretty easily, where not a lot of media can do that. So the proof is there. We'll take it and use it and get that customer who's not sure about us to try it and try it again and again.
So where else are you gonna expand? If you're in the buildings today, now where do you go?
We're going on to the computers. So your workstation at work is where we're going to send you some ads. We've already done 2 or 3 tests with a company called Demand Base out of San Francisco, one of the leading B2B desktop retargeters. And we've found that when we retarget our customers and for our customers and retarget those tenants, the response is better.
So you're running basically, let me see if I've got this right, basically an ad network that's going to let me know that because of their IP address, I assume, that they're in this building, that this kind of business, now you can target them based on that. Is that right? Rather than like a cookie in their history of them going off and looking at a lamp or something, you can really target the ads to that side of it.
Just based on the fact that they've been in front of our screens in our building. So we're going to hit them on the lobby screen, the elevator screen, their phone screen, and then their computer screen.
But the desktop screens, you're pushing that to a browser, or what? What are you? You're not,
Right,
you're not
right.
pushing it in. It's not popping up inside their screen, right?
No, right in their browser. So when they're online, when they're searching, when they're on a website, we can target them through this partner. Now, there's companies that have done this. I worked with the Atlanta Hawks, and they found that when they triangulated the customer like this, their season ticket sales, their luxury office suites went through the roof, and it pays for itself.
See, why? And it makes sense. As a chief marketing officer, go, look, I want to get to the right people. It's like when I tell people, again, I get the same exact thing when I'm doing C-Suite TV. They'll say, well, geez, you're a digital play. How many clicks? How much is this? Well, you only need the right click. You only need 1 click. You only need 2 clicks, whatever it might be. Same thing's here. You don't need massive numbers.
Yeah, you're lucky here because at Captivate you have 10 million professionals that you can reach any month, and you get a percentage of those to respond. You're looking at good response. The average TV show reaches around 3 million people. That's how many we reach every single day.
Yeah, that's a big show. I mean, seriously. I mean, I was the number 1 primetime show. It wasn't 3 million. I wish it were. Yeah. But you're lucky to get people. It's the right. It's not about eyeballs and ears. It's about hearts and minds. Right? It's about the right people.
And the quality of those people. And we found that the advertisers like SAP, like Oppenheimer, like Dunkin' and Starbucks, they want people that have money to spend.
Uh-oh, he said the S word right here. Now we're gonna get it. He said it right there. No, it's all right. It's okay. So some people can't, that's why we have Dunkin'. It's okay. That's all right. I mentioned one of your competitors too, so it's fair enough. We can do that. I don't care. So I think it's spot on. What's stopping you from being bigger?
Well, so we've decided.
Not that you're not big. I mean, look at some of the numbers I was looking through. You got 220% growth in viewership. Year over year is really solid. You're not a publicly traded company yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Mm-hmm.
We're growing fast enough, though.
You should be. Yeah, you're going to need it, right? I mean, you're going to need a capital infusion to really do the stuff you got to do. If you can move, let's say, let's go double 20,000, 30,000 screens. That's a lot of hardware.
Yeah, right now we're focused on revenue, so moving the needle both, and we have dual streams of revenue. So you have the advertisers that are paying us, and then the buildings pay us. They subscribe to our service, so it's basically giving them a cable subscription for every tenant.
Are they getting
that's
a
in the
split?
building. In some cases, they're getting some revenue share. Our decision right now is to grow fastest within the markets that we're already in. So Boston, New York, Chicago, L.A., San Francisco.
The big ones.
We're growing within those.
You're not going to Sioux Falls anytime soon?
No, we're not. We are opening up a few markets. So we opened up Milwaukee, or we're opening up hopefully Detroit soon, Indianapolis. So the bigger media markets, we're going after those, but really focusing on our sweet spot. And up in Canada, we're just going great in Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary.
Vancouver. Vancouver would be great for you, too.
Yeah, we're in Vancouver. We're doing well up there.
Mm-hmm. So what's the biggest thing you've learned moving into this position?
Well, it's never good enough what you're doing. I mean, like I said, we're innovating.
For you or for the customer?
For both. For both. Now, for the customer, it's all about ROI. We've talked about that. For me personally, it's getting my brand in front of everyone in the country that should be advertising.
Yeah.
So you know us because you're in the city, you're in a lot of our buildings, But a customer in, let's say,
Milwaukee,
Kansas City,
or Milwaukee, where you're moving into, they don't necessarily know.
They don't know about it.
Yeah, but
yet.
a lot of those execs do go to other places. But whether you get to the right person, right, that's always the tough.
Yep.
Is this a C-suite sale, or is it down in the lower levels of like brand marketing?
Our biggest customers, the ones that are spending millions, are the C-suites.
Yeah, they see it.
And their clients, that are the brand themselves. We deal a lot with the agencies, but when we get in front of the clients, that's where we're getting the biggest revenue.
Yeah, well, that's the people who see it. They see it. They see it and go, I see that. If they see it, they like it.
Yeah, and they hear about it from their competitors, their peers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we've done, which no one else has really done, is we've built a panel of 9,000 research respondents within our building. So whenever someone wants to know how effective it really is at convincing influencers to make a decision, we'll go into that panel and ask questions. And we ask a lot of C-suites. What do you think of Captivate?
Do it. How do you ask them the question? Through email? Then just
It's through email. It's an online blind panel, so it's not called Captivate. We branded Office Opinions, Office Pulse, and they give us feedback. And the C-suite feedback we've seen has been awesome. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
They love the service. They love the content, whether it's stock market tips or tips of the day from management. They just love it. Harvard Business Review is one of our content providers. Great content.
Oh, the content on it is really good. I really enjoy it. I do. When I get in the elevator, I'm picking up news, and I am, and it's always got some fun fact. I like the fun facts stuff. I like that. That's interesting.
So our content editors have a goal, and that's to give not front page news, not back page news, but second page news, things that you didn't read about that morning, because we have a pretty well-informed audience.
The front page news we get enough of.
Right.
We see that it's a 24-hour cycle. There's enough of us talking heads that we're doing enough of that stuff. I like the real stuff, the stuff I can learn, stuff I can see that, and then go back to my desk and put it into play. I like that. By the way, I want to mention the panel thing, because not everybody understands. You and I are talking at a higher level. On the panel, for some of the people that listen, I try to educate people all the time. I educate myself. I always learn something new every time. The panel that he's talking about, like when I was at Kodak, I had 58,000 in our panel research. Panel research gives you an opportunity to have a cross section of your community who say, hey, when you ask me questions, I'll give you my opinion. And that's really great, because it really helps you focus in on what you want to be able to do. So some of you, if you have a small business that are listening, you might have a kitchen cabinet, of like 10 people that you go to, and you kind of ask them, hey, should I move this? Should I do this? Or do I want to offer up a new service? That's what you do, right? That's basically it.
Yeah,
right?
So for clients, we do campaign efficacy research. So a client runs on air for a month. They want to know, did their brand lift in terms of top-of-mind awareness or just general awareness? Did they recall the campaign? And one of the things that we found with the panel and with Nielsen, who measures and rates our service, is our recall scores are better than all other media, because it's a clutter-free environment. There's only a limited
Is it because
number.
it's mostly visual?
It's visual.
I think
it's
visuals.
video. I mean,
Yeah.
video wins, but there's a limited number of advertisers, and you're in a confined space where it's quiet. Again, you're kind of leaning in. There's only one or two other people in front of the screens at the same time, and you absorb that message over a month period.
You ever gonna have sound?
No, we've tested it, and
It irritates them, doesn't it?
irritates the people, irritates the building owner. I mean,
Oh yeah, because the elevator opens up, you hear my ad or something like that. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Here's a tip. That this is a company. I saw this product, Scott. I went out and got it. I called these guys. I said, you got to be an advertiser. I said, I beg you, and I got them in, and because I just love it. It's called SaneBox. Do you get a lot of emails every day?
I do.
Yeah. I used to wake up to like 180 in the morning. Now I wake up to like 18 because I got SaneBox. I was spending hours and hours of sorting out what's important and what wasn't, and until I found SaneBox, SANE box. And if you go to www.sanebox.com/Hazlett, it's a mouthful, and there I'll give you a couple of free weeks to this. And basically what it does is it sorts out your email, learns what you do, how you do it. So I drag this one to black box, I drag this one to later, I drag this one. Or if I'm not hearing from you, I put in the BCC like 3 hours, it pops back in my inbox, and I bug you again. Or 3 weeks, or 3 months, or 4 months. I'm telling you, I got this. It's a dream come true. It's awesome service. And 2 weeks if you want it right there. www.sanebox.com/Hazlett. Exciting stuff, man. I appreciate you being here. I learned something today. I get to the point. I'll talk about that later in my show. I always do a section where I talk about what I learned, but I really did enjoy it.
Well, it's been a pleasure being here, Jeffrey, and anytime I'll be happy to come back.
All right, on All Business right here.
Taking you behind the scenes of what's happening in the business world, Jeffrey Hazlett hosts All Business, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts.
Hey, at the end of every show, I like to talk about the things I learned. And I always learn something, as I say, every single show. I'm sorry if that's repetitive, but I like to learn. I mean, that's one of my big conditions of satisfaction is I like to learn new things. And if I'm not learning new things, then I'm dying. So I learned you got to get to the point. What I mean by that, do you see what these guys are doing with the geofencing and the fact that they're able to track down individual IP addresses? I mean, that's freaking wild. And we all know it's true. You know, you've been in watching in a website and you might have looked at some lawn furniture and all of a sudden it starts popping up in your Facebook ads. Well, this is what these guys are doing even more so into your desktop at work. So you're not safe anywhere. What they're doing is the stuff you might have run into or seen in the hallways or seen in the lobbies or seen in the elevator now is going to be projected right back up to your desktop. And I didn't know you could fully do that. And that's it makes sense though. Makes sense. It just means that we're going to be tracked all the time. And hey, by the way, especially with the mobile side. And I really like the section we talked about geofencing. I think that's going to be the next really big, huge thing. And I like that because it's like if I walk through a casino or I walk through a restaurant, they know who I am. Well, in this case, if I'm walking around my phone in a neighborhood, they know where I am. And that can be kind of creepy, but it can actually be kind of cool because that means people can serve me better, and I like to be served. And that's what we like to do is serve up great stuff to you right here on All Business with Jeffrey Hazlett. Don't forget, tell your friends on play.it and iTunes. Thanks.